I gotta work on a better fade for that. I also never know how quite long to play that intro, but I do really like when the bass kicks in, so I have to leave it in going just at least until that part kicks in. How you doing, Gemma?
I'm good. Welcome to episode 5 of the Music Bingo podcast.
Is it 5 already? Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. We've already had a chat before. We have no updates this week. We have a bunch of things in the hopper, but we snuck a couple in a couple weeks ago. So we're ahead of our roadmap, but nothing to share with that this week. So I think we can actually probably get right into it unless you have anything else we want to talk about before we bring Sandra on.
No, I think we'll bring our guest on now, shall we?
Yeah, so let's just do that. I'm not even going to do that weird little video clip that just interrupts things. I'm just going to bring her right in. And there she is.
Hi, Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well, thank you. I am well. I'm just back from a week away in Nova Scotia, so I'm
lovely.
Establishing myself in Victoria time zone.
Nice. Gemma, you're always much more prepared than I am. Why don't you kick things off?
No, that's fine. No, we just it's lovely to have you on the show. We'd love to hear more about you and what you do with Music Bingo. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and what your role is.
Sure. So my name is Sandra. I work at the Military Family Resource Center here in Esquimalt. And my official title is I'm the deployment coordinator. And what that means is that I run programs and support military members and their families when they're for or dealing with a deployment or work-related separation. I've been there just over 17 years, and I'm also a military spouse myself, and I am a retired military member. I did 23 years as a reservist, and my dad and my brother are both military. So we're a big military family, and I enjoy supporting the military community in all sorts of forms, both here in Victoria and now across the country.
Wow.
So did you ever think you'd be a music bingo host as part of that role?
Well, I host a lot of different activities because, as I'll probably mention 2 or 3 times, my whole role is to create connections in our military community. So to help people meet other people in the same lifestyle. So coffee nights and things like that. I did pre-pandemic host physical bingo nights at the center. But music bingo has taken our entertainment factor to a whole different level. And it came in just at the right time for us, being that we've run into COVID. And that's where it really took off for me and my groups of clients and community members.
So, I mean, that's an interesting point. When you go back to meeting in person, and have you yet at all? Like, is there any functions that are in person? And would you keep doing it, do you think? Or is this just a online thing only? Or
So to answer the first part of the question, no, we're not back in person yet. It's October 2021, and we're still primarily the only in-person services we're able to offer is sort of our front desk capacity for people who may need support and our childcare services. But as far as our group work goes and our social activities, we haven't restarted those in person yet. That could all change, of course, listening to Dr. Bonnie Henry, and things are going to be changing. But right now, everything I do anyway is in a virtual capacity, which is why this program, the Music Bingo, coming up when it did was fabulous, because it was very little work for me. It's more work for you guys. And I'm on the receiving and appreciative end of all of your guys' hard work in creating it.
Wow, it goes both ways. You've given us a ton of feedback as we've gone in support. So I don't know if you've seen the latest announcement that Bonnie Henry did yesterday, but they're, as of October 25th, because the vaccine passport, everyone will have to have had their 2 shots. They're going to now allow intertable mingling. and you can now go on a dance floor, but wearing a mask. So that's a big change because we've got our live show, and that's only recently returned in the last month and a half. But that's another level of, can actually have more people and get a little more normal. So
that's right, and great for theater. I saw the Canucks games are going to be able to be full. A lot of it with what my work is being able to offer an event at a location and offer the childcare. And right now, the childcare piece is the more concerning one because kids under a certain age are not vaccinated. So if I can't offer free childcare, free childcare on site to folks when their military members are away, chances are they'll look for more of a virtual solution to the activity, which is why this has been so popular. It's my most popular activity that I run every month is music bingo.
That's really interesting, actually. I'd never thought of childcare being part of your role, but that makes a lot of sense. These are people have families, and so okay, ignore the whole bar comment. That's not necessarily.
No, that's fine. And also, when we're doing music bingo at home, because all of my experience with Rockstar Bingo is in a virtual capacity for clients, they can sit and have a glass of wine, and they put the kids to bed, or sometimes the kids are playing, like they love the Disney playlist. And so they're able to have their children with them or have their children occupied somewhere else in their house. And they can have a beverage, not worry about childcare, not worry about having to drive anywhere. It's very accessible for my client base, for sure. And also I did music bingo for when several of our ships were in quarantine and military members were staying in hotels. I hosted music bingo for entire crews of several of our larger ships, and they all enjoyed doing it because it was something for them they could do from the isolation of their hotel room, and their families could log in from their home. So it was a really, really neat experience to do it that way.
So 2 things on that. One, you could thank Gemma for the Disney playlist because she's a Disney nut.
Disney
and
mega fan.
I don't know if you've got the new one that she made.
Yes, I do.
Excellent. And please tell me that at least one person was on a ship playing it, because I want to add that to our portfolio, that Rockstar Bingo has been played on a battleship or something. Has it actually happened, or is it always from a hotel or a house?
I could say that it's happened from the ship while she's been alongside. She has not been sailing. So
Still counts.
Does have Wi-Fi. So we did have a few members who were duty the day that we hosted. The majority of the crew were in hotels, so they were able to log in via the ship's Wi-Fi. So you can add that to your portfolio. That it did happen on a Canadian frigate is the classification of ship that we've been hosted on.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, you ticked 2 boxes. So 1, Rockstar Bingo has been played on a military craft, and 2, you said the word duty, and that just tickles the child in me. So.
No, that's really, really cool to hear, because it just shows how diverse Rockstar Bingo is in terms of the people that are playing it and where it is being played. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, it's being played across the country. I host it at least once a month. Sometimes I do it 2 or 3 times depending on the activities. I just did it last Monday, and now I'm going to do it on Saturday for a halfway party for one of our ships. Families and people log in from across the country. So I have several families who are in Ontario. Their military members are here in Victoria, and they log in and play, even though it's 3-hour time difference. They can do it because it's accessible to them. All they need is the link. So it helps me reach my clients across the country, which is a huge bonus for us, right? And for them.
Yeah.
Cool. And out of curiosity, because I still need to make a video to just explain it, but I know Gemma's put some posts out. Are you using the custom login screen? Have you grabbed your custom URL so that you don't have to necessarily give out codes anymore because you're a pro?
No, I haven't tried that because we do it through Zoom. So we have folks, they log in through Zoom. So they register through my Zoom, they log in, and then I just give them the game. Then I set up the game code, and I give them the game code, and then because to do it virtual, you'll pretty much need 2 devices, where when you're in the bar, you'll just need your phone. Or
Okay.
clock or whatever.
So and that totally works because you've also got chat where you can just say, hey, the code is
That's right.
FGHY.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is you'd be able to set up Rockstar.bingo /join/MFRC. You would own that URL, and so when you send out your messaging in advance, you could just say go to this login join screen, and when they refresh the page, the code will be entered for them. Like that would be your own custom.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't tried that feature yet, but I'll try it. I'm up for anything. You know me.
I know. That's why I'm due to get something out to just explain that. But it's just meant to remove one more step when we can. The code will still be there. So if someone comes in late and they don't know that thing, you can still give them the code. But
that would be helpful.
Helps a couple people get started.
And
especially when you hear the wrong letters. Like when we do it, it's always like under the, it's E is an eggplant, E is an eggplant, F is in Friday. Inevitably someone doesn't hear you correctly. So
we use the phonetic alphabet. We're military, remember?
Of course. So what is E? It's not eggplant.
Echo.
Echo. Right.
Echo, foxtrot, golf, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the military members love it when I use the phonetic alphabet. So makes it a little bit easier for them and the families to hear. But it would be helpful. I'm just thinking about when you play the game from a host perspective, because we usually play at least 3 games. Would that, having that custom URL, when they hit refresh, does that give them the new next game code?
Yeah, so someone pointed that out right after we introduced it, and we thought, oh, that's a great idea. So if they've used your custom link and you end the game, and so you know how they can leave or exit the game, we send them back to your custom link. So once you've got a new code, they just hit refresh, and it's already got the new code in there for them. So there'll always be someone that doesn't get it, and you need to feed them the code. But if you had 60 people, 59 will be already in, and because there's a bit of administrative time all the time, right, helping people along. So.
Yeah, and I'm usually having to. It was Kayla actually. I mean, she made a nice graphic, so I have to share my screen, put up a PowerPoint that has the game code and the 3 instructions of how to connect. So from a host perspective, I easily have 4 screens open and I'm jumping around, and so any way to streamline that is going to be helpful from a host perspective.
Yeah. So you have 4 screens open. Is one of those screens a visual that you're giving them to look at?
We look at each other. So when we're playing, so I host on Zoom. I start with a shared screen, which is a PowerPoint, which will have the 3 instruction bubbles and the first game code. Then when we stop sharing that, then it is a typical Zoom session where you can see all the people. Because we'll have upwards of 70 to 100 to 150 people playing. They like to see each other. That's part of the point. I also have my Spotify open. Then I have the game open, the website open for that. And then usually I'll have a chat box open in my Zoom as well, because people are generally like, what's this song? And does anybody know this? And also like, oh, cute cat, and all the chat that goes on beside it, right? Sometimes more entertaining.
No, that's a good point. We often ask hosts this. So you mentioned in the chat, people are asking what the song is. Do people reveal the song, or are people quite secretive, or is it more of like a sharing? Everyone will let everyone know.
Oh, they all tell each other because the age range of the participants is so diverse. We'll have anything from 17-year-olds up to 75-year-olds. So depending on which playlist I'm picking, it'll be right out of someone else's experience, right? So they'll be like, and most people, I would hazard to say, also use
Shazam.
Shazam, thank you. I forgot off the top of my head what that was. And they all share it. I mean, it's they're competitive, but it's fun, right? And that's part of the chitter chat that goes on. Even if you were in a club or in a bar, people tend to share at their own table. So it's sort of like it's one big table of military community members. So it's kind of fun that way. I will say when I play just with military members, they don't tend to share. They're way more competitive than the families are. So there's not a lot of, they're more into the who can make the best dance moves. and that kind of stuff. So that's why it's nice to be able to have everybody on camera. Who wants to be? Of course, there's always some that don't want to be on camera.
So if they're competitive, they're playing for prizes, I guess. And what kind of prizes are you doing via Zoom? Because I guess you got to get them in their hands at some point. And what kind of prizes occur within the military? I'm assuming free boot polishing is not one. So.
Boot polishing is not one of them. So when it was the crew were playing, they would win things from their command team. So when they were in the hotels, I couldn't go to the hotel to give them prizes. So the commanding officer, basically, and the senior NCM, we call them the coxswain, they contributed the prizes. So it might have been a popular one was a skip the dishes voucher. So when they were staying in hotels, their food was included, but they could get a voucher for skip the dishes and then order a treat or something. I think there may have been some talk of a few spirited bottles as prizes on the military side of the house, and certainly some specialty coffee deliveries and those sorts of things. For the families, the ships actually, before they deploy, they leave behind a certain amount of money for family activities. So we use that to go towards prizes. So we can, anything like meals out, gift cards to Tim Hortons, Subway, the normal things. And then we do a lot of wellness and mindfulness type gifts. So if they can come into the MFRC in person, I have a big box basically of prizes, anything from yoga mats to candles to mugs to a whole range of things. So if they live at a distance, like the ones who are in Ontario and Quebec, typically we're just mailing them gift cards. And if they live locally, they can either pick a range of gift cards off of out of the tickle trunk, I call it, or we have some physical prizes. So it's always lots of fun.
Cool.
I think that answered the question.
It did.
People love prizes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, so you said you've hosted Disney Music Bingo. What other playlists have you used? Curious to hear.
Well, I've used all your playlists, so we've used all of those. And what I haven't done yet as a host, and it's on me, not on you, is I know there's a feature where you can start the song a little bit later and make a custom. I haven't had the time to make my own custom playlist to the point where I'm starting songs a little bit later. That would be helpful. I mean, it's a helpful tool that you guys have put in that I just haven't done, because some of the songs, like, it takes a while to get to the song title. So you kind of, because I always play till I get there. I now have clients who send me their playlists, so that's been really fun. They're learning that it has to be 75 songs or more. So I have my regulars, and they're actually now sending me their playlists. So my library is getting quite long. 80s, 90s, 2000s are really popular. The number one for yours, I think, is the rock one. The first one in the choice. I want to say it's hard. Yeah,
that yacht rock or classic rock and
classic rock.
That's it.
It's always the most popular one when I play it. Everybody knows all those songs. Yeah, it was interesting. Like when we had different themes throughout the year. So there were some, wanting to make things more inclusive. So people were sending me their playlists from their lifestyle or their genre of music, or it's been really neat that it's interactive that way, and folks feel like they can help me make the lists, and then they hear their playlists and they're like, oh, that was really neat that they didn't just sort of play Sandra's favorite songs. We do get a lot of Sandra's favorite songs because I'm an 80s, 90s type person, but the Disney ones, I also tend to play those first because the kids are still up. And so the kids you can watch them bounce around in the background. I was really surprised at how many adults knew most of the Disney songs. I was like, yeah, totally impressed with how many of the adults were saying. I'm like, wow, you know all these? And so Disney's popular. And then the Halloween themed ones, I'm going to use one of those this week. On Saturday, it's going to be a Halloween themed halfway party. And it's really, I know the original, or I think the original intent of Rockstar Bingo was to have it out in the clubs and to be able to do it at different places. And it just sort of, for us, for being able to offer virtual service, like I said, I mean, I hosted it for the entire base last year when they were looking for an activity during COVID to boost morale. And so now different departments within the base, contact me and ask me to do one-offs. But I would say the majority of the ones I do are for military families and military family members is the regular group. And how's quite following now?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the Halloween playlist, it's a tough one because there's only like 4 Halloween songs, and so it's like, how many pumpkin songs can you have? So
there's quite a few. When I made that Halloween playlist, you've got to be inventive. You go mysterious, magical songs, anything with a spooky title. You can, when you actually get creative with it, you're okay. Like,
well, maybe you updated it then, because the first one I created was terrible. I think you made it one. Okay. Well, then yours is probably fine. The one I made was awful.
And there's like Thriller is always in there, and there's a few of them. The Addams Family theme song, those kinds.
Yeah.
What I find is they're recognizable, some of them, but you don't actually know what the song is. You know the tune, but you're like, oh, like that's the such and such commercial that I always hear that song on, but I didn't know who the artist was.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more of a challenge that way. But they're fun, and people like themes, right?
Yeah. No, I'm just looking through the playlist now. I mean, some of them are very loosely linked to Halloween. I mean, we've got Disturbia by Rihanna. It's kind of
Disturbia?
spooky.
What's that got to do with Halloween?
Disturbia, come on. We've got E.T. by Katy Perry, another one which is probably questionable, but is kind of creepy. So,
okay.
And there was that again, some 80s, 90s. Remember there was it the Backstreet Boys that did a music video that was really creepy? Whatever that song was. So I would, I dig deep when I'm trying to make playlists too, right?
Exactly. We've got Highway to Hell, because that always fits in some playlist some way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Time Warp. Hungry Like the Wolf, Duran Duran. I think that's probably one of my.
Time Warp is classic. It's hard to come up with 75 is the trick, right? And so I've had clients who now get really into it, and I've had teenagers who are. It becomes sort of an activity that they do is they make these playlists and then send them to me, and I'm like, wow, thanks. So they're investing in their own sort of entertainment, which is kind of neat, right?
That's good.
So here's a tip for you that I need to make a video for. When you're in Spotify, if you have songs already chosen and then below it suggests songs, so it'll suggest based on a genre. But if you have the word you're looking for in the title of your playlist, so if you were to make a Halloween one, if Halloween is in the title and you ask it to suggest songs, it will start suggesting songs that are more related to Halloween. But then you're just like, oh, that one. So I've actually made playlists like really fast. Refresh, pick, refresh. So their little algorithm there is not bad. So you could it doesn't have to be too difficult. But
and there's some real, like I have some fun ones like songs you sing in the shower. That's a great playlist that I use for Music Bingo. There's another one I think someone created called Working From Home that just got made during COVID. And it's a lot of those sort of themes. It's really kind of funny. And it transcends generations of songs. So once you kind of get into it, I find it easier to find playlists and tweak them than it is to try to start from scratch, just from time-wise. And I appreciate the other thing that would be helpful, I guess, like I know we have our Facebook group where the Rockstar Bingo hosts are, and that's where you guys post all your tips. I guess is if we had lists that we like to share the names of the list or to share the your library or however people do that. I'm still I only joined Spotify because of you guys. I was using the free version before and I just kind of listened to whatever popped up. But now I'm learning how people can share their libraries with other people, and that might be a neat thing that Rockstar Bingo hosts could do is share particular playlists with one another.
Totally. Well, and that's kind of the intent of that group. So maybe we almost need, I'm not sure in Facebook if you can create like a channel or an area where it's suggests, drop off your suggestions. One thing I would like to do is, you know, you were talking about start positions of songs. I think we could effectively use crowdsourcing. So, you know, if you're like, Thriller, you need to skip the 4-minute intro and jump right into 4 minutes and 26 seconds. You could, you know, if you could suggest that to the system, and then when you pull up a playlist, be like, do you want to accept community submitted start positions? That'd be pretty easy to do, and it's kind of on the one day we'll add a feature for that. I think
that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that'd be. I gotta make sure that's in the road. I know I've talked about it before.
We've gone from a podcast to a work meeting.
Yeah. Really what happens every time.
Right?
No, we do like hearing what hosts would like to see involved in Rockstar Bingo. So is there any other kind of features or say hacks that would help you as a host with Rockstar Bingo?
A feature, again, I don't ever get to see Rockstar Bingo from a player's perspective because I'm always the host. I mean, it's been a long time since I think somebody else hosted one that I was playing. So for me, when the winner comes up, it's just sort of like their name pops up, and it kind of, I think on everybody's screen, it just sort of is like, oh, Sandra won. If there's a way to make that more exciting, like with some stars or bubbles or something that's like, just add a few graphics to that, so that, because there's a bit of a delay. Like when I see Gemma wins, it comes up and it says that you, whatever it says, you won or accepted. There's a bit of a delay until everybody else sees it. So I'm just kind of waiting, like, do they know? Oh, okay. Oh, now they know. Okay. And the same for when it's denied, like, because sometimes you get, I had a whole series there where one of the ships, everybody thought it was really funny to hit the call bingo button when they didn't have it. And it said denied, which they thought that was funny. But again, if it was sort of like, you know, a frowny face or some other, just a way to jazz up the win. Because if you're playing in person, everybody's cheering, right? You're at the bar or the Legion or wherever you are, and everybody's like, yay, or boo, or whatever. But when you're playing by yourself, you click that call bingo button, there's no like, yay. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a way to do that, but that would be my suggestion.
That's interesting. You also give me another idea there, which is maybe, Gemma, we should host one bingo game a week just to people that are hosts. And so like just like people that are new hosts and like just want to experience it as a player and or trade ideas. So it'd be really casual. Maybe every week a host from their account, and they use it as practice. They use it to meet other people. Like it'd be almost like a fun community thing. And I wonder if people would be into that, because it'd be neat to connect all these hosts together. Like if you've seen any of the other podcasts, we've got some really interesting people just like yourself on here. Like, you know, we've got this Scottish guy, and he's running at this club, and I keep trying to get him to get his band to do it, although he's not taking the bait. And then we got Rick, the hypnotist, who also could be doing the band thing, and he's not taking the bait. But if all you folks talk together, that would be pretty interesting, I think. So
yeah, it's getting the practice right. I mean, certainly for me, I wasn't shy at using Zoom or hosting. You know, I facilitate workshops online, so being online wasn't intimidating. It was the tech, and I'm very techy, and even the tech side of it, just practicing. So I had a group of volunteers that I just hosted with. Then I actually did one with family members, my own family members across the country, just to practice. So if people don't have like that set of, you know, they don't have that well of people to draw from, we don't want, you know, just give them a chance to practice it before they actually go out live. And just a way for us to meet each other, right? It's all about community building, and we do a bit of that on Facebook. But yeah, if you could have something, whereas Rockstar Bingo hosts, you are actually being hosted or get to practice or talk about the challenges. Like, okay, like who's actually, you know, gone through and made a 75 song playlist and changed the start point, and how long did that take you? And now that you've done it, can I have your playlist? Because then I won't have to do it myself.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Gemma, we need to talk about that. I think if we hosted one game a week, it'd be fun. And then just just like people come. If 3 people show up, great. We're still playing music bingo. There just won't be any prizes. Just our undying love and appreciation.
And is this within the Rockstar Bingo hosts group, or is this advertised on our Facebook page?
I think the host group for sure, but I think anyone that's interested in being a host and isn't yet, it'd be a great chance for them to just be like, I want to experience this as a player once and show me what pro has over something else. So
it would be a great way for you to market the product for sure. Like I had you in one of my national meetings for all the other deployment coordinators in the country, and it's just that chance for them to be able to see it, right? Once they see it and they can see the value to it. Because I think you have 2 communities of users. I think there'll be a group of people that, like yourself, was the traditional band in a club, and you were using this as a replacement for a paper card. Then you have this whole other world now, partially due to COVID, where it's virtual Rockstar Bingo, like it's virtual bingo. And the 2 may collide at some point. But for the most part, I think you have 2 set groups there, and really great for organizational team building and, companies that now, I mean, a lot of people have their staff working from home or are now telecommuting, so they have staff who work all over the country or the world. This would be a great way for them just to have a fun, Thursday afternoon TGIT type of thing. But you need the prospective clients to see the product, and that would be a great way to do it when it's not scary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll help you.
So I'm gonna steal some of Rick's thunder, but we had a chat last week. So Richard Cole is the that hypnotist guy.
Yeah.
So he's been hosting bingo games because he couldn't meet in front of people and make them do things they don't want to do in their subconscious until recently. So he could do that again. But we were just saying, like, wouldn't it be funny as part of your show you like plant ideas? Like if Rick Astley starts playing, you need to jump out of your chair and start singing it. So you plant that suggestion before the game. Then they're just playing the game, and then all of a sudden people are like just reacting, and everyone's kind of waiting, like, oh, here comes that song, let's do it, and just watch to see if the suggestion kicks in. I think that'd be really funny. So I'm hoping I dropped the seed there. I hope he takes the bait, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah. I think it's a great product that you've developed. I mean, I'm a huge fan of yours. I mean, I see this. It can be used in so many different places because everybody has their phone now, right? Like all you need is your phone. Where before, and now we're more hypersensitive. Like I don't want to use a bingo dabber that everybody else has touched, and that waste of paper that goes around in a club when you're playing music bingo. At the end of the night, there's a bin full of paper, right? Imagine doing this on a cruise ship or something, right? When they have their karaoke, they have their regular bingo. Then you could have your club music bingo happening. I'm a big cruiser, and I could see this on a cruise ship.
Those that have good Wi-Fi. Some of them have amazing Wi-Fi, and some it's terrible. So that's what's changing, right? It's getting more and more modern all the time. And 2 years.
Yeah.
They've had 2 years to solve their Wi-Fi problem on their ships. Hopefully, they spent a little bit of time while their ships were parked to deal with that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and it's become Wi-Fi is expensive on board ships, but it's become an add-on for most of them. Like I know the cruise ships now, they're trying to entice people to come back to their business, and Wi-Fi is now free if you want. So
that makes sense.
They're ready to have 5,000 people go online on a ship at the same time. We'll see what the bandwidth can do, but I wonder if you could host. Yeah, because you need Spotify. I was just wondering if they could host it somehow internally on their own server.
We probably won't do that. But, that's, it's funny. So we've been on Royal Caribbean a few times, and they have these massive ships, the Oasis class. Like, it's got a park in there, and, it's crazy. And on that ship, I think it has 5,000 passengers, and they offer broadband Wi-Fi, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. So... And it was cheaper than the other ships. It was way better Wi-Fi, and it makes sense because what do? You're on the ship, you're taking photos, you're sharing on social media that you've just had another Mai Tai, and that's going to bring in more customers. So Wi-Fi on a ship should be free, and because it's an advertising avenue, and I think that'll change, and so that'll be good. I want to go on a cruise ship again. I like it. Now, you know why I loved it before? I'm rambling as I always do, but it's because you can drop your kids off. See you, kids. Here's your itinerary for the day. I'll pick you up at 2 a.m, and then I would just go and do my thing. Right? So it was awesome. It was free babysitting. But,
And for someone, I don't have kids, and that was my biggest worry, particularly on Royal Caribbean. I've been on multiple companies. I was like, oh, there's going to be kids everywhere. Like, we're going in the summer. But the kids are gone. Like, you don't see them. They have their own pool. They have their own section. It's very safe, I think, because you can't get to them unless you have one of those I'm a parent vans.
Yep.
It's always funny to see those parents who are like the obvious I'm a parent, big green band, and they're like down at the casino or down at the bar or whatever, and you're like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, I empathize with you. But the cruise ships do a great job of keeping the kids busy. And again, this could be something for more of their youth level, right? That I would see youth could play this, even younger kids too. But everybody's got a phone, everybody's got a tablet. And once you get into it, from a user perspective, it's very low maintenance for me, right? Like, I just come in, now I have clients who are actually making playlists for me. So I've even gone one level further. And you guys do all the tech work for it. And I know when I was first starting out using it, you guys were right there chatting back and forth and offering your support via Facebook or by Messenger. So it was easy for me to be able to do that from a tech perspective. Not scary at all.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any? Because you're like, you already hit the nail on the head. My hope is people do this in person mostly, because that's the most enjoyable way besides being a screen. But you're right. I think Zoom and Teams and all these things, like, this is not something that's ever going to stop. It just will probably dial back a bit when we return to normal. But do you have any? Because I haven't done it by Zoom in a while. Is any changes to Zoom? Any improvements? You don't use like breakout rooms in Zoom and split off different games. I guess you can't, because you can only run one game at a time with an account. But is there any sort of recent tips or changes to Zoom that you've taken advantage of?
Not recent. It's just more making sure to share your screen, to share your sound, that everybody is turned off, and and even I'm muted. So my computer is muted, but there's an advanced option in Zoom, so you share your sound, and you can share video too if you were going to do two cameras. That's one tip, so then you don't hear the bad feedback. There is a slight delay between when I hear the song on my computer and when they hear it. So it's a bit funny if I'm singing along muted and people are looking at me like I'm 3 words ahead. But I would certainly say Zoom is the best way to do it. I'm most comfortable in Zoom. MS Teams doesn't seem to be able to host more than, like, I'm not going to get myself in trouble here. I have not hosted anything with MS Teams of more than 5 people. Zoom, I'm hosting hundreds of people, and I never seem to get a glitch or anything. I would recommend things like having a co-host. So in case your own internet goes down, you have another person who also has login and access to your Bingo account and your Zoom account. Those types of things. But it's allowed me to support military families from coast to coast. It's allowed me to have mom and dad of a sailor from Victoria in Ontario on the camera, and maybe their son or daughter-in-law is also playing here in Victoria. We've had families who go back for the summer. While their military members deployed, they go back to Ontario or Nova Scotia, wherever they're from, and they continue to play every month with us. Like, this has become our virtual military family community. And we watch people, they decorate their houses depending on the seasons. They're really getting into the virtual component of it, where when we first started this in March, April of 2020, people were really intimidated by being on camera, and all that stuff. Now this has become second nature. So it works very well. I also see you doing this sort of like in Legions or in those types of places, or messes on the base, and where people can get together in person and do it in a safe manner, for sure.
You hit on something interesting there, that because I've been following sharing of screens for music for a long time. As a musician, I've always wanted to just rehearse from home. I don't want to go meet somewhere. And you just can't do it even today. Like, the technology isn't there. And so the math of it, or the thing is that like even like where you are, where I am, where Gemma is, it seems like we're real time, but it's you're actually the equivalent of sitting about 300 feet away from me. So there's just a hair of a delay, but it's enough that it's off-putting. So like you were saying, like you're dancing ahead. One thing you might want to try in your groups, because it's a perfect demonstration, is just get everyone to sing "Row, row, row your boat," because you know in school you were taught to be around, like someone would start and then someone would start later. No matter what you do, you are not going to be in sync, and it's like a mess. So you had 20 people doing that; it's just going to be this wall of sound. So there's not much we can do about that, and it ain't coming for probably another 5 to 10 years. Like broadband and technology and everything needs to get much faster.
Well, we just keep everybody muted, and for the participants, we always recommend they use 2 devices. So they have one device to Zoom and one device is their playing card. So then they're not having to flip back and forth. Then also they can have one, they can have their TV or their computer, however they're set up for Zoom. They can have that in their living room, and they can have 6 or 7 people playing. So their whole family can play together. And they just need one Zoom sort of screen type thing. So that's helped for sure in the virtual sense. But we've tried choir practices on Zoom. That doesn't work very well.
No. Everything's around, and not a very accurate one.
That's right.
No, I'm curious. I think probably one more question we've got time for. You host with such a big range of ages and types of people. Have you got one sort of biggest supporter? Like who's the biggest lover of your Rockstar Bingo games?
Oh, that's a hard question. I am, but certainly I would say in the group that I host, it's my volunteer pool. So I have a group of volunteers, and they're all military spouses. They're the ones that are directly supporting the ships and military members when they deploy. So they really like that they can tap into Rockstar Bingo, that they know it's going to be an easy night for them. I'm hosting, they're supporting the chat page. And they get to build that community within their own unit or ship, in our case. And it's easy for them. So it's made it an easy way for volunteers to kind of interact with their community, because normally they would be the ones hosting the in-person coffee session, or they would be at the information table and they get to meet everybody that they are actually volunteering for. In this way, they can kind of manage the chat box, and I sort of manage the playing of the music and all of that. And I have a group of about 15 volunteers. Kayla is one of them, that you guys are familiar with her. And they're all fabulous. So I would say that group in particular is probably the biggest supporters of us continuing to do this. They're also the marketing team behind all these programs and services. So they're the ones talking about it as well. And like I said, we host on a regular basis. I have 70 people a month who are doing music bingo with me on my regular Monday night music bingos, and then we host upwards of 100, 200, 300 people depending on what type of other event it is. So it's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it from a community member. I know you guys are a local company, and you're very supportive of the military community as well, and so I just want to thank you for all the support you've offered us, and and how open you were to the feedback when we were first doing this with you guys. So you're our biggest supporter too.
No, you've been great. I think you were host number 5 or something. You were there right there from the beginning. So thanks.
How many hosts do you have now?
The last numbers I saw were it kind of depends, because people try it and then don't go, and we also don't track freemium people. So those that are using it for free, which would be we kind of view that as trials. We don't track that at all. Like we could probably get that number. So
I think including
go ahead.
I think including freemium people, I think we're hitting almost 500, over 500 now. So we're growing.
That's awesome. And it's only you're only a couple of years old, right? So
are we? I guess we're a little over a year old now. Yeah. I mean, we kind of went live January 1st, but we were playing with it last year for sure. As a little, and then spun off a whole company because like people dig it, and government wants their taxes.
No, it's so good speaking to someone who's so enthusiastic and bringing so many people together. I think it's amazing what you've done with Rockstar Bingo, and thank you for being a great host.
Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome, and thanks for the product, and we'll continue to use it. So we'll enjoy all the games. I guess we'll have to look for some Christmas songs coming up soon. Yeah.
Playlist incoming.
Right.
No.
Awesome. Yeah. So thanks for joining us today, Sandra, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. Have a good day.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. Oh, she's so awesome. What do you think?
It's great.
We got anything else to add today, or?
No, I think it's always quite moving. Listen to Sandra talk about how she's bringing people together, hundreds of people from the military, their families, in such a tough time, especially during COVID. I think it's just great what she does with bringing everyone together.
Well, she mentioned families a bunch of times, and for whatever reason, my brain still didn't go to children. And then it occurred to me, oh yeah, there's a whole different angle. So I just think in terms of people drinking beer and playing this game, but it's probably not going to be appropriate for baby bottles. So
no, it was great. It was great. Another great episode talking to another kind of music bingo host.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Well, with that, why don't we wrap it up, and we'll do this again in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
See you on episode 6. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Oh.